Over the years, certain movies that no one liked before have now been looked at as classics. Movies like Space Jam, Good Burger, and all the Star Wars prequels are a few examples. Yet there's one movie that gets this treatment, but no one seems to talk about it. Well, that movie is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to me is one of the most overrated and downright pointless remakes I've ever seen. I mean, it isn't as bad as the Top the Fourth Wall movie, but the fact of its overrated status makes me want to talk about it. It's not crap, it's just subpar. The reason why I say it's overrated is because my generation grew up with this movie, and some fucking say it's better than the original. Now I understand it's a matter of opinion, but in my opinion, it's a fact that the original is better in almost every single way. The sad thing is, the first half of the movie isn't really that bad. I mean, it's no masterpiece, there's definitely some problems, but it's much better than the assload of shit the second half has to offer. Let's not waste any time. This is why I hate Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Number 1. Charlie Bucket. This kid is downright the most ultimate goody two-shoes kid I've ever seen in my life. I mean, in the original, he was very nice and kind, but he still was like a kid. I mean, he stole fizzy lifting drinks. He was also kind of greedy.
But I am different. I want it more than any of them.
He was a good kid, but he wasn't perfect. This kid is the ultimate nice as fuck kid who tries to tell the audience by being a sweetheart 24/7, you'll get a whole fucking factory. When looking at the Willy Wonka Charlie, you see more layers, not just a guy playing the role of God Almighty himself. This kid never thinks for himself. It's always about others, and again, while that's sweet and all, it's really fucking annoying to watch.
We need the money more than we need the chocolate.
Number 2. The universe is too nice. Now you have a guy in the director's chair that's crazy with the visuals. Tim Burton is the ultimate out-of-the-box director and his visuals stand out. Compare this town to the original. In that one, it felt like a town. This one looks like it came out of a fairy tale. Now that might look all awesome, but it makes the sequence where they go into the factory less interesting. When it comes to the factory in the original,
come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
And Wonka is pretty right, because in this one, it's ruined because the outside world is pure imagination and the factory is just another factory in this world. In the original, you wouldn't see any other factory like this, but here, this is the same type of shit you'd see at your local gas station. Number 3. Willy Wonka. To introduce the Candyman himself, please enjoy
Willy Wonka, the amazing chocolatier. Willy Wonka, everybody give a cheer. He's not as clever and so smart,
This song drove so many people fucking insane. Keep this in mind, I saw this movie as a 5-year-old, and to this day, this song has still not gotten out of my head. Okay, we finally got past the stupid song, okay, it's time for Willy Wonka to show his face, and oh, good God! He looks like Michael Jackson right after he reattached his nose. Now, I like Johnny Depp a great deal, but compare him to Gene Wilder, and you've truly got a terrible performance. Even if you don't compare him, and you just watch him straight up without any knowledge of Willy Wonka beforehand.
You smell like old people.
He's so fucking annoying. You could make a cringe compilation just with his scenes, and it would be like 20 minutes long. I'm not fucking joking. Everything this guy says is just pure garbage. Now, you can't 100% blame Depp for this, as no one could perform these shitty lines, but I mean, come on. With the original Wonka, you got a guy who actually has layers. He could be outright insane, outright what the fuck, funny as hell, or very kind. This one just acts like he doesn't care about the kids until one is left.
Don't you want to know our names?
Can't imagine how it would matter.
Dude, you made a contest for kids to enter so they possibly run your factory. Why wouldn't you want to know their names? It's pretty bad when your two main characters are total dog shit. It's certainly not going to give this movie justice. Number 4. After the Factory. At the end of the original, Charlie, Grandpa Joe, and Wonka fly off in the elevator.
What's gonna happen to the other kids? Augustus, Veruca.
My dear boy, I promise you they'll be quite all right. When they leave here, they'll be completely restored to their normal, terrible old selves.
I mean, of course they did. Unless Wonka wants to deal with 4 deaths. Well, 5. Can't forget my boy Mr. Salt. But we weren't shown what had happened. It made us think that maybe those kids did in fact die. I know it's dark, but Willy Wonka to me is a horror movie in disguise. I mean, that fucking boat ride just flat out gives it away. But in this one, We're also shown what happens to the kids after the factory. Now this movie doesn't end there. No. This movie goes on longer after that, and I think it's fucking ridiculous. Pretty much Wonka discovers the joy of family by reconnecting with his father Dracula. Then he says the old people line, and then we go to the credits. Pretty dumb ending to me. Number 5. They followed the book too hard. When given a book that needs to be adapted to a movie, usually things are changed to either make the movie better because a movie format and a book format are totally different, or because you could do anything in a book while in a film, you gotta stay within budgetary restraints. Now, the original Wonka was a lower budget movie. I mean, over $1 million ain't cheap, but it ain't the same as this movie. This movie was made for $150 million. That's more money than Star Wars Episode 3. They followed the book way too hard because the book led to a sequel, and with the sequel, that makes more money. Luckily, we did not have a sequel here, but in the original, it changed things that bettered the movie. The biggest one being the Slugworth and Mr. Wilkinson storyline, which is completely absent from the book and the remake. They're cut to follow the book more, and even though the author hated the original movie, doesn't mean his words mean that much. Stephen King hated the original Shining movie and went on to make his own, and we all know how that shit turned out. What these authors need to realize is what's good in a book might not be good on film. Now, this movie isn't the worst thing in the world. Like I said, I thought the first half was not that bad. What I really like about this version is the connection between Grandpa Joe and Wonka. With the original, Grandpa Joe just had stories with no facts to back them up, but here, he actually worked for Wonka. I also think the parents were good at this movie. Sure, they're not as good as the original, but I did like them. Violet's mom is like your typical soccer mom, and Mike TV's dad could give a shit that video games and television are ruining his child's life. I also like the Oompa Loompas. Again, like the parents, I prefer the original, but I have to give credit to Deep Roy for playing every single Oompa Loompa. As a kid, I always wondered why all these Oompa Loompas looked exactly the same, because in the original, while they looked similar, you could tell the difference. But in this one, it's just Deep Roy cloned 100 times. Overall, this movie is just a big meh fest. It has some good, but it's ruined by big things. I really wanted to like this movie because the original is probably my favorite movie of all time. I could sit back and pop in Willy Wonka at any moment and find enjoyment, and find out something bizarre or new that I never saw in previous viewings, even if I've watched the movie about 2,000 times. With this one, it's just one and done. I thought with a bigger budget and being directed by a visionary like Tim Burton, it could be great, but I think he actually tried way too hard on this film. To me, the people who like this movie more than the original are probably the people of my generation, or people who are super special effects hungry and only care about how good the shots are and the fact that it's newer and new technology makes a better film. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great week and a greater next week and then a greater week after that. Anyways, it's me, Michael, and I'm out. Bye-bye.
Willy Wonka, the amazing chocolate